You are on mute, Sam.
I was so sure I got the perfect start.
You're not the first person to have done that the first time they've done it.
That's it. I quit. You want to take over the
I'll,
rest?
no. One mistake does not ruin it all, Sam. No matter how many people tell you that, no matter how many hundred, no, it's fine. I will retreat into the shadows.
It's forever there now. It's on
forever
it. It's
stained.
done. It's
But
on YouTube and everything.
you can make up for it now. It's all fine. It's all fine. Bye.
Hello, everyone out there on internet land. Oh God, I'm so mad. This is Telling Tales. We do atmospheric role-playing. We stream live on Twitch and we put it on YouTube. Today I'm running Cyberpunk 2020. So Telling Tales is a, as I say, Twitch and YouTube channel. We have all the social media down below. Please go check us out. We do weekly shows, 3 weekly shows on Mondays. We run Shadows of Esteren. On Wednesdays we do. God, I've thrown myself off so much. I was so prepared and I've thrown myself. I knew this would happen.
It's fine.
Anyway.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You are not the first to do this. You will not be the last. Mondays is Shadow of Esteren. Wednesdays is Simbaroom. Thursdays at the moment is Cincinnati Chronicles.
All prepared right there. Like I had it written down and everything. I was so ready.
You need to bring me on soon anyway, right?
Yeah,
so
it's
all fine. It's all good. It's all fine.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. So I'll. Do you want to stay? Do you want to?
You want to first? It's fine. It's fine. So we run those 3 shows weekly. They all start at 8:00 in the evening, GMT. We also run monthly one-shots. This is one of them on the first weekend of every month. Obviously, this is Cyberpunk 2020. There's a whole bunch of others over on YouTube if you want to go check them out. That's about it, I think. That's pretty much it. There's not much. If you want any of the links, they're all down below to like YouTube and Twitch and stuff. And Discord.
Check us out. There's tons of stuff there. It's all really great. I love watching them. Matt's run loads of them. Johnny's run some of them. Hopefully, I'll be running more of them this year. Fingers crossed. Cool. So, yeah, as we said, I'm running Cyberpunk 2020, and Matt is one of our players. He's going to be playing Spiral.
Yes. Spiral is the class is Rocker Boy, but Spiral is definitely a kind of rocker ? They are a quite pretentious musical genius. Certainly they would believe that, who has been kind of on the streets for most of their life and growing up. First grew up in a German arcology, but then became part of a nomad tribe and is now touring clubs and kind of smaller arenas and stadiums with a fresh record deal, or what passes for a record deal in the Cyberpunk world of 2020, with a group of slightly dodgy individuals called the Doves, who are a kind of peacekeeping gang, or at least that's how they seem. Who knows what will turn out in the course of this adventure? They are. Well, I won't go into their appearance, but yeah, they're very fond of inciting feeling against corporations, but do so in a slightly more oblique, pretentious, and maybe unique manner than people like Johnny Silverhand, or like the kind of like more chrome rock kind of like Agit. Agit people. They're a bit more obtuse than that, but still, that's their game.
Still definitely up for a bit of fight the power, though. Of course. Yeah, that's pretty much everyone in this world.
Spiral has a gun. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
And in the past, you'd been involved with the Aldecaldos a little bit. The kind of nomad gang, who one of the very early nomad tribes who kind of travel around the US and other areas. And that was where you met John's character, who also is associated with the Doves. So why don't you introduce your media, John?
So Tia is, media kind of. She got her break as a bit of a war correspondent, talking about the Central American conflict. Her style is more as a airheaded interviewer, and then sort of like, oh God, I can't remember the word. You've thrown me off now. Everything's gone wrong.
That was ages ago, John.
Sucker punching people with the hard questions. That's it. And yeah, she's got like a sort of. She's got like 2 levels of fan base of the kind of casual, she asks really sweet questions, and the more hard-hitting, okay, what is she actually trying to get this person to say? Political correspondence kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she's run with the Aldecados, she's run with the Doves, she's made a lot of enemies.
So
A
that's
lot of
like
enemies.
half legit correspondent, half agent provocateur.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. It was actually hilarious while doing character creation, just how many enemies you made. It was like, we'll roll this year. Enemy, we'll roll this year. Oh, enemy.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah, enemy again.
There was one that I was like, no, this is too many enemies. Re-rolled, got exactly the same result. And again.
Yep. I think I'm just going to have to have an... I mean, I don't know how I'm going to fit them all in one shot, John, but I'm going to try.
Save them for the sequel, it's fine.
You think you're going to live through this one?
I mean, not if you throw all the her enemies into it.
It wasn't my fault you had so many enemies. Yeah, so you, as mentioned, both roll with the Doves, and you both have made enemy of a big company that the Doves directly effectively target, which is Militech, the global conglomerate corporation who kind of trade in arms. And the Doves, they're a little bit Robin Hood-esque. They steal from the rich and give to the needy. They don't steal money, though. They steal weapons from the rich and give to the needy for weapons. They see it as balancing the odds, you know. Depends how you view that. Probably not the most moral of things to do, but in a world like Cyberpunk, perhaps it is. Who knows? But running with the Doves is Jack. Hey, Jack, you want to describe your...
You are also on mute.
I blame StreamYard for that.
It does auto mute you when you come
Yeah.
on, so you have to remember.
That's StreamYard's fault. We can both blame StreamYard, Sam.
It is
Yeah.
StreamYard's fault.
Actually, I wasn't muted, so that makes sense.
Anyway, yeah, I am playing the techie of the group, who is called Junior, seeing as he is probably one of the younger members of the Doves, who came to Night City from a village in Yorkshire in the UK, and when he got there, he sort of got taken under the leader of the Doves' wing, and now he sort of works for them, basically fixing their stuff when they come back from jobs, probably reverse engineering some of the Militech stuff they steal, I imagine, and then being a driver as well. And I think he sort of stays out the main trouble that they cause, and so he's probably maybe got a bit of a naivety as to some of their more, ruthless methods that they may have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably believing the party kind of line of they're peacemakers, right?
Yeah. They're helping people.
Yeah, I think Cher, who's the leader of the Doves at the moment, because being leader of a group that is directly opposed to Militech is certainly a very dangerous position to be in, and not the most persistent of places to be. She spotted you almost straight out of the station when you arrived, and noticed your affinity for technology and kind of took you under her wing. I think you're only 18 now, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is where the
very
name Junior comes from.
Yeah,
Him being the sort of youngest.
And speaking of Militech, we happen to have a corporate among our lot as well, perhaps not starting immediately with the rest of the group. Steve, why don't you introduce Mr. Kitagawa?
Certainly, yes. I'm Takashi Kitagawa. I have nothing to do with these other people.
Excellent.
Don't know why I'm here. So yes, Takashi grew up on a
street scum and reprobates.
So yes, Takashi grew up in a nice, stable corporate suburbia. Only child of a small family. Both parents, though, died in an accident involving corporate tech, which the corporation then blamed somehow on them, saddling me with a large amount of debt, which I have struggled to pay off over the years. But now I'm doing pretty well. Fairly old in terms of Cyberpunk reference, about 27, and yes, doing quite nicely for myself.
Yeah, indeed. A comfortable corporate apartment and multiple members of corporate staff and all the corporate bells and jingles that you hope to have.
It's great.
Yeah. So, Our first scene is only with Mr. Kitagawa, so we can cut everyone else off for now. So, the world of Cyberpunk 2020. It is a very different world from the one we live in nowadays. It is an alternate history from, I think, pretty much when the book was written, so about 1990. Things went bad, even worse than they've gone in our world, which, I mean, things are pretty bad in our world. Wars, famines, I mean, in my version of this, climate change, because of course that wasn't really on the radar then, but effectively is, because they've got climate devastation as well in there. And the US of modern day is not a nice place to live. It's pretty much completely dominated by corporate rule. While the US government still nominally controls the country, corporations have very overwhelming power. And they can more or less do what they want, albeit with a kind of cover over to make sure no one really knows about what's going on. And this has kind of left a lot of people very disenfranchised, lots of nomad packs driving around because they don't have anything left anymore. Lots of people in the cities are really downtrodden, poor and suffering. Other than the corporates, typically they do fairly well for themselves, but it's a very cutthroat, hard world where one misstep might see you tossed out onto the street if you're lucky. So it's not a very pleasant world to live in. We find ourselves in Night City. It's raining. It's always raining in Night City. It's always dark and grim and grey in Night City after the failed climate change restoration experiments of the early 2000s. And Night City is on the west coast of the US, kind of central west coast, north of Los Angeles. Los Angeles is pretty much gone. There was a huge earthquake about 10 years ago, and much of the city slumped into the sea. So a lot of the residents of Night City are from Los Angeles, as well as kind of other areas around. It was built as a kind of perfect modern city, but it's, well, the man who built it, I can't remember his name, something Knight. His last name was Knight. He was assassinated after 5 or 6 years after founding the city, and it basically came under gang rule. But the corporations have more or less taken back control of the city now, and among those corporations is Militech. Militech, as you'd imagine, sell arms around the world, arms and armored vehicles, fighting vehicles, pretty much the highest bidder. We find ourselves looking at the Militech building in the pretty much the center of the corporate district in the city. Corporate district is kind of patrolled by corporate police, and if you were any old folk walking around there, you need to show your ID, and they might pull you over to search you and escort you out of the area because you're not meant to be here. You're riffraff. But of course, someone like Mr. Katagawa, escorted by bodyguards, supposed to be there. Everyone knows he's supposed to be there. We find ourselves many floors up in the harsh triangular building that makes up the Militech HQ, and deep within the bowels of the building, in a small dark room, there is a man with bright hair sitting in a chair. He is handcuffed to the back of the chair. There is a light over his head, and he is just waking up. Why don't you describe your character, Steve?
Okay, that was a start I wasn't expecting. Yes. So Takashi looks a little, so obviously Japanese heritage, looks a little like David Bowie, I guess. So bright orange hair. He's dressed in a white suit, quite slim, lithe, not particularly heavy. In terms of augmentations, the main thing about him, I guess, is that one of his eyes has been replaced with a cybernetic part. So slightly unbalanced facial features, sort of dark iris. Mm-hmm. But other than that, oh yes, and I don't know whether it's noticeable, but there's like a sort of a metallic sheen to most of my head as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're pretty well camouflaged in that. I don't think you'd notice unless you went. Okay. Perhaps the bright orange hair would distract from.
Yes, that's kind of the idea. Mm. But yes, so yeah, I guess there we are. I will.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, handcuffed to chair, you kind of blearily wake, not quite sure what just happened. Remembering moments before, it feels like you were just notifying your superiors that you were booking in for those unused days of annual leave. And off to the airport for a nice getaway. Seems that didn't go quite to plan. As you your eyes open slowly, you look around you, you can It's a bit difficult to see with the light over your head, but you can kind of see behind you there's two rough-looking goons. And in front of you, you eventually make out the shape of your superior. Let me scroll to find her actual name, because I've now scrolled away from it foolishly.
I believe
Yes.
this Caroline McAllister.
Yes,
Is that
thank
the
you,
one?
Caroline McAllister. So yes, she's a short, fairly squat woman who always looks furious, and she looks furious right now, although she has kind of a smug grin on her face too. As she notices you kind of wake up and open your eyes, she looks down at you and says, "Really, Mr. Katagawa, did you think we were that stupid?"
You've got what you want.
And what? You were leaving, were you? I highly doubt it.
Well, I presume you have no further use for me.
And you think we can just let you go? You could have towed the line. It was simple. All you needed to do was follow the orders, move on, move up. You're a very promising young candidate. You were doing really well for yourself. Why? Why do you have to get these attachments?
I signed everything off. It's up to you now. I've done what you wanted.
Look, we both know you weren't planning on just leaving and going away for a nice, lovely holiday in the Bahamas or wherever it was you're pretending to go. Do you think I'm that foolish? Do you think I got this high by letting things like that slide past me? They'd have my head if I let you do whatever you're planning on doing, wouldn't they now?
Well, of course I thought it wouldn't be that simple. But, well, one has to try.
Mr. Katagawa, you've left me no choice. You realize that. You're in too deep here. I hate to do it. She kind of glances up at the goons behind you and says, "You've been a good employee. Thank you for your service." And then you hear a gun click behind you. I was wondering. You can hear a goon approaching towards you.
Oh, as in loading?
Yep.
Right.
Do you act? If you do not, that's fine. Probably won't just immediately die. It's okay.
So they're coming up behind me, and Caroline sat in front of me.
Yes. Well, you're chained to the chair.
Yeah.
Well,
is the chair? I think I might throw my chair over if I can.
I'll tell you what. You could realize the chain is like bolted to the ground. The chair is bolted to the ground.
Handcuffed, chained to a chair.
You do have some leverage you could perhaps use at this moment.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Okay. I might. I'll say, wait.
She kind of half turned around and puts her hand up like, "You know there's no negotiating here, don't you?"
Oh, I realise that. But do you think I'm that stupid?
She looks at you quizzically. Kind of, you see her expression of vague, like, comfort. Certainly annoyance, but, she was smiling at you sort of as well. That smile breaks for a second. Whatever do you mean?
Do you think I'm about to tell you?
I think she kind of looks at you for a while and then maybe does a slight nod and goes,
I'm good. The reason I'm in this position. I was placed here.
Perhaps I have underestimated you, haven't I? So what you're saying for me is that if your position were to be terminated, it would put me in a more uncomfortable place than if I kept you on board, correct?
Correct.
Had to be difficult, didn't you? Very well. You must do this only, okay? go back to your apartment and stay there. Till tomorrow morning, I will call you. You come back in, and we'll sort all this out. I can't guarantee I can work with you anymore if you do anything else, okay? Whatever
Okay.
you've got, it's not worth it. And she walks out. And at that, one of the goons comes and unchains you.
Okay, well, I'll rub my wrists.
And the slight bruise on your head, you're kind of remembering the
Mm.
sudden blow from your bodyguard not long before. Somewhat irritated thinking about these reliable corporate bodyguards.
This was the corporate bodyguard.
The corporate bodyguard. Your alternatives would not be able to come into the corporate building, however, may be available anywhere else. And you're escorted to the lift. They escort you downstairs unless you say or do anything else.
I'll be thinking of an old photograph. I think that's in a frame on my desk, but no, I don't think it's worth trying to antagonize the situation anymore. I will go with them.
Cool. Okay.
And leave. Yeah.
Yeah. They escort you to the desk, and to the lift. You go downstairs. You're effectively escorted past that reception. You get some steely glances as people watch you going by with the two goons following you right behind. I think it's conspicuous, the circumstances.
Yes. Yeah.
And they let you go at the front gate effectively. Your corporate car is nearby. You go to that or not. It's up to you. And you're let be into Night City to make up your mind. And we shall switch to the other three characters. So, you've all got a plan, haven't you? This is yeah, don't worry. It's a rainy, cold night out by the arena tonight. This is to the east of Night City. I was going to bring up the map and images, but the map is just awful, so I'm just going to describe it. It's to the east of Night City. The corporate zone is effectively Center City, and the docks are a little further out towards the east. There's a big gang of you. You've got a fair few of the Doves, the kind of gang who do a lot of smuggling and stealing weapons from Militech. All of you are there, as well as many people you recognize and know. This evening, you got a tip-off from Fallout, who's one of the other media who has worked a lot with Tia, and has worked a lot with, in various capacities, Tia, and has worked a lot with the Doves. And yeah, she has informed you that there is an arms delivery that is not meant to kind of fly under the radar, heading out towards the docks tonight. And Cher has decided this is a good opportunity to get a bit more stock and get another one up on Militech. So she's asked for a little favor from Spiral, a kind of pop-up concert, if you'll say, in the car park outside the arena to produce a distraction.
Distraction and maybe if I do some rabble rousing while I'm at it.
Exactly. That's kind of what your contract entails. So we'll cut to Spiral there, kind of doing a little bit of getting everyone together, gathering the crowd. If you're happy with that, man.
Sure. Yeah. So shall I just describe what Spiral looks like and what a Spiral gig looks like? So Spiral will be on stage. He'll be flanked by the two other kind of members of the act. They're not important. And the whole thing is like a lot of cyberpunk stuff is like referred to as like chrome rock, and it's kind of like that kind of like early 90s heavy metal sort of sound. Spiral sounds nothing like that. Spiral is like an even more pretentious version of Grimes, if that can be imagined. And is just basically center stage, a lot of synth-driven music, and like she'll be there kind of like moving in kind of an odd, kind of idiosyncratic dancing way. Her clothing will be like basically like adjusted corpo suits, Like they change the suits themselves and like, you know, snip bits off, add bits to it, like dye sections of it, stuff like that. But a lot of it is cut in a very way that shows like a lot of skin, like a lot of kind of spirals, like a long, you know, like a ridiculous long V cut that just buttoned at the bottom, and all the skin is displaying whatever Spiral wants to at that particular moment in time. Spiral is covered in synth skin, which is basically turns him into a kind of like living display at all times. So you have like a lot of Spiral's imagery, which involves like spirals and golden ratio and stuff like that, or like lyrics might pop up and stuff like that. It's all very overload and distracting when you're looking at Spiral during a performance, which is intentional. Yeah, they'll be like performing in that sense, kind of long, ragged, self-cut and dyed hair, just like bits and pieces. Quite like the actual build of him is like quite waifish, I'd say. And also in some parts of the places where the synth skin doesn't extend, which will probably be like the tops of the hands, and maybe like the back of the neck and stuff like that. There'll be some kind of like nomad ritual scars there as well. But yeah, the whole thing is quite an overloading sensory experience. A lot of very bright lights, a lot of sound, and obviously maybe. Would it be safe to say that because this is a pop-up gig, right? So this is just like word of mouth on the net and stuff, has gone out to like Spiral's existing fans, and Spiral will be pumping up the crowd with anti-corporate sentiment. A, because that's what they do anyway, and B, to provide more of a distraction for the security, for the nearby security, I'd assume, who might be dealing with people on the edges, like throwing shit at them and like.
There's definitely security there who are more or less kind of, they're not paid enough for this. They're standing back. They don't want to get involved in something like this. There's maybe like 30 security guards who guard the edge of the arena and walk around the car park, and they're just kind of like, no. There's a couple of thousand people gathered for a small pop-up gig. I ain't dealing with that.
Absolutely.
This is not my problem. So.
Do you want me to roll a charismatic leadership roll to see how it's going?
Yeah, I think we're a little way into it now, so go on, give that a go.
So the charismatic leadership description, because this is like the special stat for well, rocker boys or rocker girls, or we'll just call Spiral a rocker, because if anyone hasn't picked up already, I think Spiral is what can safely be referred to as gender agnostic. So yeah, the rules on it are really weird, and I wanted to read this bit out so people go, what? The skill allows the rocker to sway crowds equal to their level squared times 200. Which for me, John worked this out yesterday, because my level is 8, John. Yeah. So what's 8 squared? That's like
64.
64 times 200?
Yeah.
There's something wrong going on there. But anyway, the ability added to your cool stat allows you to control, incite, and charm large number of people. So it doesn't really make it clear how to do the roll, but shall I just make it like a normal roll, like I would with a?
Yeah, just do a normal roll, and depending, like, I mean, I almost
it gets added to cool. I know that. So, cool. My cool is 9. My charismatic leadership is 8. So I'll add a roll of a D10 to that, and we'll see where we get to.
Cool.
Well, that's a 9. So that's you decide where that gets to, man. That's 26 in total.
Yeah, 26. Well, you've effectively doubled the target number, so yeah, really good. Let's say you've not only if you've drawn kind of the couple of thousand crowd you were going for, you've kind of the noise and the attention that's going on. You just see people continually pouring in from kind of the edge of the area. The arena almost straddles the corporate zone, so the eastern side by the docks is kind of a much dodgier area, as you kind of imagine, and the western side of the arena that borders the center of the city is kind of the corporate entrance, and they've got guards and everything. So you're on the eastern side by the car park here. So people are pouring in from like the north and the south around the docks, kind of dock workers getting off late, just going like, what's this? Yes. Yeah. And then other folks coming from the south from bars that might be closing up or opening at this time of night, you know. So I'd say there's probably at least like 2,000 or 3,000 and more people arriving constantly, and they're like raptured by your every word. You know, they're like having a great time, bouncing up and down, just like yes,
Sure. I think like because like Spiral's quite obtuse and like arch, like a kind of like, you know, like I say, a bit grimesy, a bit like 80s pop star, and that like they don't seem quite human in like they're just like this glamorous sort of being. I don't think that that he would like say anything too direct. Like, all the lyrics are quite a thing, but there's definitely like signals Spiral has to like their band members, like of just like maybe a thing like flashes up in the skin, or maybe that's actually a better idea. Like rather than say anything, like there'll just be a brief flash on Spiral's skin of just like the word pigs or something, and the entire crowd will start like, you know, chanting that.
I love that idea. So
throwing
you're never
things and
directly confronting these things. It's always subtle, but that just gets them going so much more. Yeah, perfect. So I think before we get into what's really planned, let's see what the other characters are doing. So what's Tia doing, do we think, then, John, at this, in kind of this situation, this circumstance?
I mean, as a reporter, I will be covering the big news story of the evening, which is this impromptu pop-up gig by up-and-coming transcendental superstar Spiral.
I love it. I love it. So you are right now effectively filming the crowd and filming Spiral up on this kind of makeshift stage, which is literally just some crates and maybe a car or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
I
like
can't...
the ramshackle nature of the stage will definitely be blinded by like the light show that
absolutely
the band brought with them.
I think I will be photographing an amount of the actual setup, like the ramshackleness, but there'll be a lot of like very close up, overwhelming capturing of the spectacle.
Yeah.
A lot of very large shots of just the overwhelming size of the crowd. And if I can get any arty, like contrast, beautiful, artistic amazingness versus decrepit warehouse, like a picture of contrasts, then I will go for some of those.
Okay,
that's generally what I'm doing.
Cool. Sounds good. I can picture that quite clearly. I love the idea of you just being kind of jostled in this crowd trying to get the spectacle of the thing. And Junior, I wonder where you might be in this circumstance. You're a little bit more involved in the Doves, so perhaps that you'll be sticking close to. I don't think Cher is there. I think Abel was leading this. So Abel, who's kind of the second in command of the Doves, would maybe you be sticking close to him, or perhaps just kind of with some equipment by the car you drove in on.
Well, I think Junior's probably stood near the van. I think maybe they would have had some hand in getting the sort of tech side of the impromptu gig set up.
Oh yeah, I quite like that. You're almost being a little bit of a stagehand in this impromptu circumstance as well, because it's you need someone to set it all up, right? So
so in sort of rigging it, so obviously the idea, I suppose, was it gets set up quite quickly and gets playing quite quickly rather than hanging around for too long and security moving people along.
Gotcha.
So
cool.
They would have had a hand sort of getting the speakers and stuff set up to be as loud as possible, but also be as portable and quick to set up as possible. And so they're probably just sort of watching from near the van. Probably quite inconspicuous, sort of, just looks like a van with someone watching the gig.
Yeah, cool.
And then maybe, I don't know, there might be some equipment for the heist or whatever in the van as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
And maybe that was our sort of cover getting there. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. You're just
whether the police really would have pulled a van over or whatever. But if for whatever reason, we just got a load of sound equipment. Ignore the bombs or whatever.
Ignore the like 25 heavily armed Dove gang members hiding inside this.
Oh yeah, these are just roadies.
Yeah, just roadies. Looks like we're having a Matt's trouble with camera there. Hopefully we'll get him back soon.
I am here though, as long as you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Good.
I'm here. I'm just going to reboot my camera. Won't be a second.
Cool. No problem at all. Cool. So so kind of the plan effectively. I'm actually kind of doing a bit of a funny thing where I'm happy to do a little bit of a flashback to planning of it, but none of you guys head the Doves, so that's probably a bit out of your hands anyway. But basically, you got this tip from Fallout that there's a couple of truckloads of weapons of various kinds being shipped to the port. Don't know where they're going, but you can intercept them on the way. Once they get round the top of the kind of arena in the dark, you'll hopefully have a chance to jump them between kind of two narrow streets where the cops don't come around this area so much, around the car parks and everything. And it's not far from the kind of pop-up show that Spiral's doing. Plan is to hit them hard and fast, quicker than they can react to, and then dash away as quick as possible. But I'm happy if there was anything like special, you know, if Junior had some interesting tech ideas, or if anyone else wanted to come up with something. Perhaps Spiral was like, I'll try and get the crowd to kind of move their festival into the road. I don't know. I'm up for some fun suggestions in this moment if we want.
I don't think Spiral will do anything direct, because Spiral probably considers like directly rabble rousing for the Doves, while obviously like a contractual obligation to be like, in some way, even though they're not a corp, to be selling out from her artistic vision. So like probably won't have suggested anything herself.
Perfectly reasonable. I could see that. So Spiral is kind of just the almost a bystander, although contractually obliged to be somewhat helpful. Yeah, cool. I mean, any ideas from you Junior? Do you think might have anything? Or
So could you just run it past me again, like
Sure.
what the initial setup is?
So basically, there's a couple of truckloads of weapons being shipped from the HQ in the middle of Corpo District to the docks. They go right past the arena, and the road that goes around the north of the arena goes through a narrow area just next to this car park. Once it gets past the arena, that's kind of the setup. That'll be right next to this show that Spiral is doing. So the idea is, in some way, jump them at that point, surprise them with overwhelming force. Hopefully they just kind of give up, or you get the weapons fairly easily because they won't be expecting this, right? That's the hope. And there'll be so much chaos with this going on that Spiral's running. You can get out there quick before Corp has a chance to react. They don't think anyone knows about this shipment, so that's the hope. Simple in and out, right?
I can't think of anything directly, but I'm
You're good.
wondering whether I could do some work to like set up a bit of an alibi for people. Like if the people who are going to do the jumping, if I can have accidental footage of them in the crowd that I pre-recorded, and then I can splice it into, or get someone else later to splice it into my up-to-date footage of the concert, then it might stand up for a preliminary, at least, alibi.
Okay. So you're intending to kind of deliberately film things in a way that's kind of, oh, you got a timestamp, and oh look, no, there was nothing going on
Yeah,
here.
it's like obviously it couldn't have been this person and this person because they were over there having
Yes.
a drink. You know?
Strategic like positioning of cameras and perhaps a little bit of time editing and all that sort of thing. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, at some point during this heist, we'll make you make a roll or a couple of rolls for that and see how that goes.
Okay.
That'll be quite fun. Remind me what you're doing. Any ideas from you, Jack, as Junior doing anything? I mean, you said you've kind of been prepping kit, haven't you?
Yeah, an idea of that. The way we're sort of going to get the weapons away, sort of undetected, sort of in the getaway sort of vehicles or whatever, is we've got like the flight cases that would normally have the cables in, but they've got like a false bottom.
Okay.
So you chuck the weapons in there, put the false bottom on, and then the gear for the gig is then placed on top of that again. So these are just normal cases. Yeah, we did a gig, but it's not illegal.
Yeah, nothing wrong with doing a gig, right?
Yeah, and do you want to search them? There's a ton of uncoiled cables in there. You go through them.
Yeah, I reckon you've probably got like 5 or 6 van loads of just miscellaneous kit, and you're just gonna like hide strategically within that kit.
Yeah, and then stuff that's sort of in there, and the people that are going to do the actual jumping and stealing the stuff, they can hide in and amongst the kit. So it's just sort of, it's more effort than it's worth for anyone to actually search it. So hopefully people won't bother. Sort of thing.
Makes sense. I think as well, Abel's like he approves of this plan, although he's very quiet and kind of surprisingly soft spoken for such a big guy. So you almost barely hear him say it, but he compliments your ideas, and then he says quietly, you can just about hear him over the sound of Spiral's music as well. He's like, Junior, you should come get some action. Yeah,
I'll be fine. I'm
No. He puts his hand on your shoulder and is like, "No, you got to learn to handle a gun, man. You're that age now. Come on."
I mean, it's a straight in and out anyway. It's going to be fine.
We ain't going to be here to protect you every day of your life. Come take some shots at these corpo pigs, eh? You need some practice.
Well, yeah, like you say, it's an easy job, right? So nothing will go wrong.
Fine, come on.
Good training wheels, one.
He taps you on the shoulder.
Sadly, 18's probably very old to start handling a gun. In
Well, for Junior, it's actually true though. Unlike everyone else, you're well past the age when you should be. Yeah. So he, you've already got a gun, don't you? You just don't use it.
Yeah, I've got a gun which sort of lives in a hidden holster.
Yeah.
I should say, yeah. So Junior does have a cybernetic arm, which the hand sort of switched around, and that's where a lot of their tools are, as well as there is a hidden holster which contains a pistol.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't give you the best opportunity to describe Junior, did I? Otherwise.
Yeah, I mean now's I suppose as good a time as any.
Yeah.
So yeah, he wears like a jumpsuit, like a mechanic sort of one, and then on top of that he's got a sort of thick leather jacket. And then the sort of arm, which is his robot one, this sort of sleeve is sort of cut off there, for sort of maximum robot armness. And then so sort of short, spiky hair. He's got a couple of like nose rings. And he's obviously the young, quite young looking. I think he's trying to grow a sort of beard and whatever, but he's more bum fluff than anything at the minute. He's probably trying to not be called Junior so much. But he's probably failing miserably.
Is he wearing a scarf at the moment?
He is. He's got his knitted scarf that his mum sent across or sent him out to the world with.
I love it so much. So that's the knitted scarf from Yorkshire wool. It probably stands out from everything else in this damn city.
Yeah.
I don't know about it in the official canon, but in our head canon, is Yorkshire still weirdly rural and quaint and pastoral?
I reckon Britain is a horrible place. Like it's gone downhill like the US, unlike most.
Okay,
of the
but
rest
what
of
about
Europe.
in Cyberpunk?
But
Yeah.
Good job. I like to imagine that like Yorkshire in this has stayed pastoral and stayed like quaint, but has also gone like weirdly horrible cyberpunk at the same time. So it's like pastoral and quaint, but also somehow a corporate hellscape alongside, like lovely pastoral farms, and they're all just like corporate conglomerates, but it's like pastoral.
Yeah, just like mile after mile of like pen-fed animals and
exactly.
Word for growing plants just via water. Like hydroponic stuff and but I'd imagine as well, just because it's actually kind of happening in real life, that like the Leeds Bradford conurbation would have become like a vast metropolitan area that swallowed up most other towns and cities and stuff.
I like to imagine like Junior's wool, the wool that Mum knits from, actually comes by the ton barrel worth of organic fine wool.
Organic is just like
organic.
It's just wool grown on like kilometers of skin.
Yeah. That's the organic sheep.
I do want to say that I read through the Sprawl series a couple of years ago, and one of the books, part of it is set in London, and he makes a really big point of, no, London's still London. London doesn't change. England just likes old things.
Don't we just?
So Abel pats your shoulder gently. He's got 2 cyber arms, so it's fairly roughly, but also you're used to it given your own. And says, "Hey, John Barter, I'll keep you safe. Don't worry. Follow me."
I guess I'll nervously or apprehensively follow him.
Tia, you're keeping an eye on the crowd and everything going on. I don't think I give you an opportunity for you to describe your character too. So,
well, what I was doing, I was keeping an eye on the crowd and setting up the alibi, but it was also partly a way of setting up my own alibi, because I'm leaving a setup of my digital camera, so I'm still there.
I see.
But I also want to get the scoop on what is actually happening.
Yeah. I'd even be like, given the context of this, your digital camera is totally like moving around and doing panning shots and stuff, so it makes it look like you're filming, sort of thing,
Yeah,
Perfectly
I've got
reasonable.
like an audio recording of me, like my kind of ongoing, very perky commentary over the top of it.
Yeah. Okay, that's a roll then. Give me a tech. And I don't know what the skill's going to be for that. Let me take a look.
Would there be any chance of, instead of me doing a tech, that I could have, well, I set it running, but I've talked someone else into setting the actual tech up for me?
Well,
Could it
since
be,
one of our other
like,
characters is a literal
There is an
techie.
AV tech stat.
Yeah, I mean, this is more audiovisual, to be fair, too. Yeah.
I've got tech and photo and film, but I don't have AV.
I mean, photo and film.
I
mean, we're
think-
talking.
Just as an aside, is AV is in audio video, or is it
Audio
aerial
visual,
vehicle or
I
something?
think it's.
Oh,
yeah,
it might be aero vehicle.
Yeah, aero.
But there is
yeah.
aero. There's also aero tech.
That's
Let me
just for
just
chocolate
quickly.
bars.
Yeah.
Let me
Would
just
we
look at the
also,
actual-
just out of interest, and this is just pure flavor, shall I make a performance roll?
Yeah. Do make a performance roll.
So
That would
as
be
to
great.
how well, obviously, I've got the crowd riled up, but other people watching over Tia's feed or later might go, "I didn't look like that good a gig." So
I love we have to know how good the gig was. It's very
Exactly.
important.
So my perform is 6, but also I have audio vox cyberware, which is like basically gives me complete voice box control, and I can do effects on it and stuff. So yeah. So that gives me an extra 2, and then my empathy, which it comes under, is it was 9. Actually, it was 10, but now it's 9 because of cyberware. So that's 9 plus. Oh, it's the same roll as the last one, I think. 9 plus 8 plus. Okay, not as good, but still. So 21 is my total.
Okay, good. I was going to make that a hard roll because I wanted to see it if it was going to be a tough gig as well, given the context of the situation.
Yeah,
20 was the
imagine
target. Well done. So yeah, you are doing a good gig. There is no doubt that it looks good, it sounds good, you feel good on stage, and you seem to be kind of vibing with the crowd. You think if someone's filming, which you can see cameras, it'll look good. John, any idea on that roll then? What do we think?
So Steve has confirmed that AV tech is Aerodyne vehicles. So it will be
use that film one then. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just an arrow help use the film one. Yeah.
So my tech's actually quite low. So it's 6 plus 2 for the photo and film. 8, and I roll. You're kidding! I rolled a 1.
This is a good,
So that's 9.
good alibi you're setting up here. Well, that will be a fumble. Although I'd only normally do that in combat, but I really wish I could just roll. There are fumble tables for everything, so we could go straight to the fumble table now for this.
Oh boy!
See if
Let's
I can
go for
find
it.
You trying to take Mike's crown here, John?
Apparently.
So it's going to be in skills. This is the moment when the first time we do it takes some time.
Tech, and I roll another d10, right?
Yeah, you roll another d10, yeah.
Which is another 1. No fumble.
I think that's good. Yeah, low on the fumble table is what you want.
So is it just like there's no fumble? It's just shit.
Yeah, you just fail.
I think I just don't manage to set a commentary on it.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, I'll tell you what I think happens here.
Maybe the lights are like
I like
overloading your,
what
too
you're doing
much.
is you're trying to get a shot of this, and exactly what Matt said. The lights just keep overwhelming, and you spent ages setting this up, and it's not working. Then you notice Abel is kind of talking to Junior, and then nodding to a few other members of the crew, and you see Abel glance at you as well. So you're like, oh shit, I've got to go. I don't have time to try and faff with this thing anymore. So either you miss going with the rest now, or you stay, or you kind of go and don't have this alibi effectively.
Was the role just for my commentary, or was it for the filming in general?
It was the filming you were trying to do, set up the camera to be doing the filming without you. You could leave your camera, but it won't.
Is your camera like a cyber eye thing?
No, it's a manual.
Yeah, you could physically leave that there.
Do I have? I'm trying to think if there's anyone I could talk into nearby, taking control of the camera for me.
No
Who
promises
won't just
on how good a
nick
job
it.
they'll do.
Are there
Yeah.
any like lower level doves nearby that
I think,
won't?
honestly, I think all the doves are pretty preoccupied with what they're actually here for. They're not really
I'll-
bothered with this.
Are there any
I'll
of
have some
Spiral's?
roadies here.
Yeah, are there any of Spiral's Aldecado roadies nearby?
There are 100% some of them, yeah. Variety
Yeah,
of
Okay.
roadies.
I've got 7 adopted siblings who hero worship me, and they're the people I usually use for security and as my like roadies. So
Oh yeah, they love.
yeah.
You might just get shots of Spiral and nothing else, but you'll
Yeah.
get shots.
That's fine. So I'm gonna like
that
gesture over
persuasion
one of the
roll?
roadies,
Mhm.
pass the camera off to them, and saying to the commentary, "Oh my god, this is my favorite bit," which gives me an excuse of being quiet for the next whatever.
Yeah, you absolutely can do a persuasion roll to see that. I'm probably going to say they do it no matter what, but it's are they going to drop the camera and forget about it, or are they going to do an amazing job sort of thing? They're not going to
It's
refuse
fine.
to take it from you now.
So my persuasion is
And that'll be
4,
persuasion,
which is
empathy.
under empathy, which is
Yeah.
9, so 13. 17. And I'm going
you're
to swap
fine.
out this D10 because I'm angry at it.
Yeah, you're good. It was a 15 target.
Good.
They're pretty easily persuaded by that. They'd be happy to film for you. So yeah, they've taken your camera. You can head off, follow the group who are kind of moving on now.
I'll do that.
And according to people who knew about the kind of plan, which probably isn't Spiral, but everyone else is vaguely aware, the truck will probably be here in about 5 minutes. So as you kind of move over to the main road, it is a pretty narrow bit between 2 buildings. The actual kind of arena itself comes almost to the road, and then on the other side, there's kind of a few kind of rundown looking apartment blocks. One of them's partly abandoned, and I think that's where a lot of the doves set up, kind of in the upper floors of that, facing down at the street. It's quite quiet. It's like about 10 p.m. kind of in the evening. No one's around the area this time. Most of the docks have closed up, so there's not much traffic. And you kind of settle in as you're there, Junior. You're maybe next to Abel in the kind of second story of this apartment block, opening out to the side of the road. You see Abel hefting an RPG over his shoulder, getting ready to aim it down at the road. You're probably quite familiar with this RPG. Maybe you've tinkered with it at times.
Yeah.
It's kind of up to you, Tia, where you might be.
I'm trying to think. Can I see anywhere to set up a good few shots?
Yeah.
As in camera and
also
also gunshots.
You could probably go from like if you're hiding under the shadow of the stadium, you'd be kind of out of view of where gunfire might be hitting you, but also be able to get good shots of the action sort of thing. So
Go for that then.
cool. Okay, you set yourself a good shot there. Matt, do you think Spiral is at all concerned or aware that the doves are going off to do their heist now? Or do you think Spiral is completely unbothered and is just going to continue the festival without even paying attention?
I think they're definitely not going to get involved in any
Yeah.
way. Not least of which because immediately being like hunted down by corpse for like this kind of activity would put a massive blocker on like his career. But like I think like they're clever enough to have like and perceptive enough to have picked up on roughly what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And if Spiral is aware, can pick up at what's about to happen, Spiral will actively attempt to ramp up the show in order to more capably distract for
Yeah.
the doves.
I think that's
Spiral doesn't particularly care about the doves, but Spiral will admire any activity that's fucking with a corpse. So like,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yep. And you I think you can notice that effectively because you've kind of been involved in the setup of this anyway, even if you've
Sure.
not paying
Even if I'm
attention actively.
in one side of the room, not really listening, but knowing
You know what the basic concept of what you were here was for, and it's pretty
Yeah.
obvious that all the doves have shifted off to do a thing now, so you know what's going on.
Do you want me to make like any kind of role for ramping up the gig?
Let's have one more because that would be interesting. It would affect
another
how everyone else is gonna
charismatic,
go.
another performance role, charismatic leadership.
Let's have a performance for that.
A performance role, yeah, sure. They are the same role anyway.
Okay.
So, okay, that's lower this time for sure. That's a 1, but having said that, it's still an 18.
But a 1 is an automatic fail on this.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
there we go. All right, so that's an empathy fumble.
Yeah, I don't know what the empathy fumbles are.
What page are the fumbles on?
You were just there, John. I didn't find
Yeah.
it.
I did find them. They're on page 43.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm literally already there, looking at the table and asking where it is. Okay, here we go. No fumble. They just won't buy it.
Yeah,
so
cool.
people are just engaged the amount they were before, I guess.
Yeah. You kind of try to get the band going. Maybe the band are not picking up on the cues of the doves, and the band
Yeah,
playing
and
songs
I was
normal,
like,
and you're a bit like, oh,
desperately signaling to them to like ramp up the lights, ramp up the sound, like go, like bring the song to its conclusion faster than it normally would, or whatever. And they were just like, no,
they're just out of it.
playing the notes.
Yeah, exactly that. So there is no special distraction, but certainly the giant crowd there is already quite the distraction and quite the irritation. I think actually some of the crowd are quite perceptive and aware what's going on to some extent as well. So a fair number of people are just kind of moving over to the street, not necessarily to engage in the fight, but just to kind of see what's going to happen, because it's exciting, isn't it? So there's probably at least a couple hundred people around in the street now, not physically blocking it, but there. And moments later, you see two fairly heavy-looking trucks coming down the street towards the docks. Exactly the ones you'd expect to see. Abel just holds up a hand, and everyone kind of stands quiet and stops moving around, other than the crowd milling in the street. They're not really paying attention to Abel specifically. And about 10 or 15 seconds later, when the truck is just kind of passing the stadium, he fires an RPG directly into the cab of the front truck. And exactly as you'd expect, it was armored, but it wasn't armored for RPGs. The whole thing is blown open. Immediately out of the passenger side, a kind of corpo soldier effectively leaps out, partly on fire. That's the only person that does leap out. The truck behind kind of slows to emergency brakes right behind the front one, and you see a load of people jump out of that one as well, getting guns out.
I definitely, because I only have my picture camera with me now, because I left my vidcam behind. I definitely want a shot of the corpo on fire. That's going to be someone's album cover by the end of the
year. I love it. Cool. I almost want to make you a roll to see how good that shot is, but that seems silly. Go on then, make a roll.
Okay. Would that be? Could I do that under composition instead of phototech?
I think composition is specifically music or writing.
Oh, is it?
I might be wrong.
I thought it was just general creating things.
You may be all right. What is that under anyway? Is that
it's under intelligence, the required skill for writing songs, articles, or stories.
So many skills in this game.
Done it. All right, let's go for. That was a +8. 10.
I don't think you can get a really great shot of it. I think, he's sprinting out of the vehicle and diving to the ground, and you kind of get a blurred picture of someone on fire, but it's not really obvious that it's like a corporate in this setting. It's a bit like, you keep trying to shoot, but you don't quite get that great shot,
Bless the 90s when there were many RPGs where you could very easily build a character that's shit at the thing the character does.
My main thing that I do is interviews, so this is.
We'll go interview the guy on fire, and then you'll be all right.
Yeah.
See how he's doing.
There is an interview skill. That's amazing.
How's your evening going?
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about Spiral's new album?
I love it. So I think we should have a quick bit of rounds, but I don't think we're going to need it for very long, because really it's kind of just Junior who might be. I mean, I don't think Tia's going to be getting a gun out, so it's just Junior of us lot who's going to be potentially firing. So let's just have a really quick. I'll do you, I'll do Abel, and I'll do some corpse, and others are going to be fighting other.
Right. I'm assuming I'm not involved in this.
If there's something you can think you would be doing, I'm happy for you to be involved.
How much can I notice what's happening from the stage?
Once gunfire started, you'll be able to hear, and I think
Okay.
you'll probably see some of it, but you'd have to kind of stop focusing.
Yeah, but I could try and make some use of the crowd or something. Yeah, I'll throw myself into the ring.
Go on, then.
I might do nothing, but
you can be in initiative as well, John. If obviously you'll probably want to be active, what you're doing.
So initiative is just reflex plus a D10, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I don't think anyone will have what's the word? Encumbrance. I don't think anyone has bonuses to their
No,
reflex.
I barely. No, I don't really. I probably don't even have my gun on me. I'm just in my stage gear. So, what was I going to say? John, you're handling the initiative banner, right? Yeah. Do you want us to read out our initiative or put it in private chat? You've probably already written it.
Either is fine.
Okay.
You might as well read it out.
Cool.
Was it reflex plus a D10?
It's reflex plus D10.
Wicked. So mine's 12.
Okay. Now the corporates rolled very low.
Mine is 10.
Okay. And the corporates are 10 as well because they have a fairly good reflex base.
I put player characters ahead of NPCs.
Yeah.
What about the doves?
Oh yeah, the doves, of course. So the doves will be not rolling the same. Come on. Thank you, that's better. So the doves will be 14.
Okay, doves definitely go first, and I'll get that order up for everyone else.
Well, that'll really just be Abel anyway, because the rest are going to be, fine. I'm not going to do the whole battle rolling. That's ridiculous. Okay, so Abel is really good with his. I mean, he's fine as RPG. I think at that point, probably everyone could kind of see him. But Junior, you're right next to him. Tia, you probably got a view of him if you're looking. Out of his right cyber arm comes a very heavy pistol. It basically lifts up and is kind of incorporated with his hand, if you see what I mean. So his hand kind of partly moves apart, but it also kind of grasps the pistol at the same time to brace the thing. Maybe you even tinkered with it at some point, Junior. And he takes aim and looks to fire at the corpos as they get out of the vehicle at the back. And he can fire. Is it just one shot with that? I think it's just one shot with a very heavy pistol, isn't it? Yeah, it is. But he has amazing reflex, so even with a 2, he hits. So he takes fire and hits the rear corpo. Well, one of the rear corpos, let's say the one that jumped out the driver's seat of that thing, that truck. Now I'm going down to the weapon section. So we roll for the hitbox. Someone tell me where I rolled, because it's just a 1d10 on their character sheet that's in front of them. 7. Where's that on the body?
That is the right leg.
Right leg. Okay, cool. And damage of the pistol is 4d6. Oh, that's some. Oh god. So, is 17 damage enough to sever something? Because this corpo doesn't have any leg armor. Has body mitigation.
I don't know how that works, but
yeah, there's a certain amount of damage that means you've severed. I think it's 15, and I think this corporate would only take 1 off the body, 2 off the body. So.
It's definitely enough to take them into the mortal boxes.
Yeah. You know what?
So,
I'm pretty sure it's 15 for knocking. So I think he just shoots the guy's leg off. Honestly, it's a very heavy pistol. He's got a square shot on the guy as he jumps out. He shoots the guy as he's getting out of the truck, so his leg that he's leading on just kind of gets blasted off basically, and he just collapses on the ground screaming. Yeah. That's the first corp. There's kind of other skirmishes because there's a fair few. There's 3 or 4 guys jumped out of the back one, and there's another guy kind of jumped from the back of the truck of the front one. So there's other doves that are kind of shooting backwards and forwards. But in the moment, you don't really know what's going on. So let's jump to Junior.
Yeah, I think Junior's probably going to follow Abel's lead of just firing at some of the ones that have jumped out the back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, they're the ones that seem more prepared because the front one was blown up. So.
Yeah, so I think I think my rate of fire is 2 with this pistol that I've got, so I'm going to take 2 shots at one of the guys. I don't know whether there is an aim thing in there.
If you could take 1 shot on aim and you get +3 for it, I think.
Okay, I think.
Thanks, Steve.
Junior's more likely just to fire rather than take his time trying to kill someone.
Yeah, all good. So yeah, roll a d10 plus your pistol and your ref.
So I got a 10.
Oh, I think that's also hit.
On dice. And then my handgun's 2, and my reflex is 8. So that's 20 in total.
Yeah, you definitely hit the guy. Yeah, cool. So you hit him. Let's see where you hit him. I think I roll for the person. Where's a 1? Is that head?
1 is indeed a headshot.
Oh, so double damage. What's your pistol? What's the damage of your pistol?
2d6 plus 3. So
roll that for me then. You've done good here.
10 damage. A 3 and a 4 plus 3.
So 20 damage to the head is, I believe, an outright kill.
Yeah, that's just literally a headshot.
I mean, this guy, To be fair, no, because the basic goons don't have helmets. Actually, I've got them down. So yeah, you literally go right through the guy's head. You hear Abel make a whistling sound a second after you take the shot.
I half heard that, and I thought you were like, you hear a whistling sound through the hole in the guy's head.
Abel whistles in, compliment.
Just the wind blowing gently through his head.
I imagine, Junior, that's almost one of the first shots you've taken against a person.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think they've tried to stay out of the violent side of it, so they've probably gone quite pale with.
Yeah, I can imagine. I like the idea of there's another dove, like maybe a floor down, but they knew you were up there, and they just like heard your gunshot and go, "Oh, Junior's a killer."
Junior probably gives it it's probably gone quite pale with that spectacular first kill, and probably gives it a nervous chuckle sort of thing. Not quite sure.
For some reason, I'm just kind of half imagining the episode of Always Sunny where Charlie gets the gun, and like when he threatens someone with it for the first time, he's so excited he throws up a bit, and it's just like that sense of like,
oh God, please no. So after Junior, Spiral. I mean, what are you doing in this circumstance? You've just heard gunfire. You're pretty aware what's going on behind you now. A little bit your crowd's kind of filtered off, actually, to kind of not quite get involved, but certainly witness the potential bloodbath that's about to occur. You're muted.
Classic. So I think I'm right in saying that the actual gig itself is like outside the actual Militech building, which is why the delivery's coming in there. Right?
No, you're outside the arena, the Militech building.
Oh, okay.
You're kind of halfway between the Militech building and the
Sure. So the only like Militech around are the people who are like pouring out of these vehicles and getting shot and burned and stuff. Okay. Yeah. In that case, you know what? Because I was going to say, if there's extra security, I'll try and like ramp up the crowd against them. In fact, I think what I'll do is just, I guess in this circumstance, Spiral reckons that less witnesses equals more good. So Spiral is going to just try and like boost the sound and boost her vocals through her audio box and literally try and get people to think that either there's nothing going on back there and like drown out the gunfire, or that it's part of the sound that's coming from the gig. I guess, would that be just either again a charismatic leadership or performance role?
Probably performance again, given what you're trying to do, because you're trying to do it via the literal specifics of performing.
Yeah. Like I don't know why I asked, but it's the same role. I have like a 9.
So you're gonna go through this whole story, and every role you make is a performance role.
I have a 9 and an 8 combined in those. It's
a good choice.
So, yeah. Okay, that's a 5. So that is. Oh, I'm terrible at maths. 22.
Yeah, you're good. The band catch on this time. The volume rises, your singing rises, the whole noise, the cacophony of the kind of arena area increases, and you can't hear the gunfire anymore.
Yeah, because there's a risk, right, that someone's going to look and betray the Spiral sort of message and call the cops or something. So like I do that, and like when like the music rises and the crescendo goes, like Spiral's skin starts to swarm over, like with the like her specific logos of like spirals and golden ratios and like sacred geometry of various kinds, and like maybe like the light backdrop that we have like sprays those out as well, and just kind of like sends the crowd into a frenzy.
I love it. Frenzied they are. And it's worth pointing out as well, like the sort of crowd you're drawing to someone like this are going to have no love for Corpse. And while there's a chance you might have a straggler who is a corporate from somewhere, or someone who is weirdly faithful to them, you're not exactly concerned that the crowd's going to be calling the cops.
Yeah, but I mean, some of these dock workers coming through who could just be watching because it's a spectacle, and then they figure they might get a reward for calling it in. So, you know,
fair. Make it difficult for them. Seems like a good plan. So we got the Corpse. I think it's safe to say they're going to fire back, because this is not good. You know what? I'm going to make them make a cool roll though, because this came out of nowhere and they've been RPG'd, and 2 of them are just completely downed already. Probably a few more, given the dubs are shooting them as well. So what's their Corpse stat? There's their cool stat is there. Cool. They rolled a 10. They're all good. They're sticking around. So these Corps are like, yeah, we got a job to do here. So they kind of gather around
Militech.
Yeah, exactly. They're from Militech. They gather around the rear truck now, kind of the ones who come at the front ones, well, and they're trying to fire back towards the rundown apartments you guys are up. I think there's probably about 5 of them standing and shooting, so they're already pretty outgunned. I'm gonna say 2 of them shoot up towards you and Abel, mainly because Abel fired an RPG, so it's pretty obvious. And given your relative size and the fact that Abel was firing an RPG, I'm gonna say anything but a 1 or a 2, they're going to shoot at you. They're going to shoot at Abel otherwise because he's really fucking obvious. He's much bigger than you. He had an RPG. He's not shouting because he doesn't shout, but he's clearly more obvious. So the first one, nope. Second one, nope. I said 2, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll just do a quick bit for Abel to see how he does. Well, he rolled a 1. So that means he's definitely going to take some damage from that. Okay. Not enough to go through his armor, though. No, he's fine.
Isn't it the corp rolling to hit?
Yeah. Sorry. When I said 4 Abel, I meant for the shot on Abel then.
But wouldn't a 1 be a miss?
Oh, God. You're right. Don't know what I'm doing, Matt. I don't know what I'm doing, do I?
So...
Yes. It's a 1 for the shot on Abel, so it's a miss. So I'll do a fumble to see if they shoot their own. That's fun, actually. A 7 is not shooting their own, if I remember correctly. But is something bad. I think they might have a gun jam or something on that. Weapon fumbles. Oh, this is so much stuff. Oh, I'm nearly there. It's going to be a bit further down.
Yeah, 7 is a weapon jam.
Thank you. Yeah, I remembered that. I can't really remember that. So that corp is trying to fire at Abel, and instead his gun jams for 3 rounds. The other one also shoots at Abel, definitely hits with an 8, and also got 3d6. Oh, that's a lot of damage. So Abel has a good amount of armor. Abel had a 15 body armor, and he's okay, so he takes 1 damage. That was a 17, but he has a 15 armor on his body, which is where that hit, and he's very strong, which means that he has 5 total damage mitigation, but it can't prevent all damage. Yeah. But it can't prevent all damage, so it just takes it down to 1. So Abel has taken 1 damage. I think he'll be fine. You hear him grunt slightly next to you, Junior, as a bullet goes into him, and you hear a metallic sound. So presumably it didn't go through him.
Yeah, it'll buff out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. So that's the corpse at you. I'm going to say that you also below you hear a scream from inside the building. So presumably one of the doves has been hit much worse as well. And Tia, what are you doing?
That's a good question. So the current setup is 2 corps firing at Junior and Abel.
Mm-hmm. And then there's another 3 total standing. There's only 5 of them left.
And how many doves?
Quite a fair few, more than that.
In total.
Yeah, you don't need. This was already kind of stacked against the corpse, to be perfectly frank. They're rolling their cool. You wouldn't be surprised if they really figure out their circumstance. They might just leg it at this point, depending on how well they're being paid, Perhaps you could even encourage them to do so if you felt brave.
I don't know how I do that. I think I'm gonna stay where I am, get some audio recording of the firefight and some visual recording, visual pictures of the Militech firing on civilians, obviously.
I love it. Post-RPG shot. Oh, look at them shooting at those civilians. Perfect. I'll tell you what, since you're doing it, give me another roll for it,
Okay.
This will be for the photography, I suppose, then.
So +8 at standard. I have rolled another 1. I'm putting this D10 over there and getting another 1. that was a fumble. I'll roll. No, I'll keep this one because it's rolling low, and I'll roll on the fumble table.
Mhm.
7.
You not only fail, you make it worse. You drop the tools you're working with, or you lose your grip and damage the thing you're working with.
I know exactly what making it worse is here. It's not dropping the camera. You've taken a picture that shows the opposite. Your picture clearly shows the doves shooting at and instigating against the corpse.
You've shot Junior ducking out
Yeah.
from behind like this empty window up in the apartment block, and directly in front of your camera shot is like the corpo guy, like with like blood spraying out from the exit wound.
Yeah,
You know what? That's
you've even got a view of Junior's face, and he looks kind of like,
He looks
about
mean.
it.
Yeah, it was mid regurgitation, so it's like
that's not what I intended, but I'm still going to save that in case he wants to use it for his Christmas cards when he goes back to his family.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm happy with that. I know it might not be the spirit of the fumble, but that's way too fun to not do. Cool. So you've taken a picture. Back round to the doves. I'm gonna do some dice rolls for them, other than you folks. Cool. Okay. I'm just skipping this a bit because I'm not doing full combat for all of them, but I'm vaguely getting an idea of how well they're shooting. Okay. So 2 of them, 3 of them. Oh, that's a 10. Okay. Okay, so 3 and a 10. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to say with that 10, one more of the corporates is immediately downed, kind of a shot right to the middle of the chest that goes kind of, their jacket's kind of open because they didn't have preparation to kind of get themselves set up. So it goes right in the gap between their kind of armor jacket, and they go flat on the floor immediately. We should make sure to remember the stunning rule as well. I knew we'd forget stunning rules when you take damage, but no one's really taken much damage that will make it significant yet. It's either dead or not. So far.
Yeah, it's all or nothing. I've only run Cyberpunk a couple of times, and the last one was about maybe 7 years ago. But the combat in that was literally like someone's hit, probably dead or nothing.
Yeah, it's like you hit them, and nothing happens, and then the 6th one you hit them, and it's just all of their health is gone.
Do you have a lot of armor? Then you're fine. Do you have no armor? Then you're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, to be fair, is pretty realistic.
I mean, Cyberpunk does have a section where it's like we're trying to make this as real as possible. I think they do a good job of that. It's just that makes it, in a sense, not.
The combat is absolutely brutal unless you're armored up, which is realistic, especially with like future guns that have that are even more deadly.
Exactly. So, not to be outdone, one of the doves below you has that excellent shot as well, and unfortunately, Abel misses his next shot with his kind of arm gun cannon thing. It's a pistol, but it's the size of a cannon. Junior, are you going to take another shot, or are you shocked?
I think the adrenaline of the situation at the minute is keeping him going. So yeah, I think another 2 shots at another guy.
Cool. Yeah, you go for that then. You know what? I'm just thinking. I'm thinking whether you having just killed someone will give you a positive or a negative modifier, but I think I'll just leave it. Let the adrenaline of it all.
Well, I rolled a 3, so not as great a roll.
It's probably not going to do it. Well, your other stats aren't super high.
2 in handgun, so that's 5, and then 8 in reflex, so that's 13 in total.
Not quite enough, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you say you're taking 2 shots then?
Yeah. Do I roll for each shot? Is it?
Yeah, you roll for each shot.
4 on the second one, so 14.
No, still 1 off, sadly.
Okay, cool.
So you take your two next shots. Perhaps the adrenaline's making your hands shake a bit at this point or something, but you can't get them dead on. Oh wait, no, it's Spiral before the corpse. So Spiral, what are you going to do? You're kind of, I'd say you're aware that they're pretty outnumbered, so you're wondering if maybe they're going to run in a minute at this rate.
What, the corpse?
Yeah, they might not. They might be really well paid. You don't know. But if you were them,
shall I make a roll to see how well I can see what's going on with this firefight? Because I feel like I'm probably pretty. Would it be like human perception?
I think.
Or awareness notice.
It depends what you're going for. If you're going for how they're feeling, what's going on with them, or if you're going for just the general state of the battle.
Like I'm guessing because did you say it's like an apartment block nearby? And they're firing on from there. I would imagine that if I'm doing this from a car park nearby, I probably can't see the vehicle and the corpse all that well. Maybe I could see maybe I could see how the doves were doing up in
Well,
but even that's a push, I think. So
I
like,
think the apartment block's like ruined, so it's kind of half tumbled down. So it's got an open side. So
sure, but it's going to be a distance, and there's a crowd. I don't know. It's a lower roll for me, but I think I'm going to go with awareness notice because I think that's more accurate than like trying to pick up on what
cool.
Well, the body language is or whatever.
I think you're perfectly fair to say it's a tough roll. So let's make it higher for the difficulty in that one.
Okay. Well, if you tell me what the difficulty is, because I might not even be able to make it.
I feel like a 50. I'm going to go for a 20 because 15's not.
Okay.
Not
yeah, sure.
Average.
So my awareness is 4 and my intelligence is 8. So I've got to roll an 8 or higher to get to 20 on this. 7. No, I don't know what's going on. I can't tell how things are going. I'm just carrying on doing what I'm doing. So
cool.
no particular action from me.
All good. But you're still enrapturing that crowd well.
Oh yeah, I'm doing a kick-ass show.
Distracting them. It's only been 6 seconds since when you kicked up the crowd for this, so you still.
Oh yeah, Spiral's got his performance on, but like no particular action from me.
Exactly. Yeah. So the corpse, I think they are rolling cool again because this is not a good situation for them. 3 of them are down now. One's screaming horribly, the other 2 completely dead. And they have no evidence whatsoever that they can win this. So I'm going to make that a hard roll. And they do not pass. So I think silently, the guy at the back just turns and sprints away. The corporate kind of behind all the others, none of them could see. And it takes half a second for the guy in front of him to hear the footsteps, and then they're all gone. They all kind of turn and just start running. I think at that point, probably everyone of your lot stops firing. I don't think anyone has an interest in gunning them down while they're legging it, really. Maybe there's the odd kind of gunshot just in excitement, but it's not in any earnest effort to take them out. And we can take the initiative off. Go on, sorry.
Try one more photo.
Yeah, you're good.
Of the Militech retreating.
Mm-hmm. You can absolutely get a picture of that. This is an easier photo now. You're by the stadium as well, so they're actually running past you. So I'm going to make this just a 10. Easy.
I rolled a 1 again.
Fumble it is. Your photography
with a different D10. Oh my god, I'm the Antom.
With photography.
4, which is nothing, right? Yeah.
All you're trying to do, I think it's 5 plus or maybe 6 plus. All you're trying to do is take photos and you're failing. What are you even doing? I'll tell you what. For this fumble, you just don't even manage to get a photo. Sorry.
I take the picture and I accidentally my finger was in shot, obstructing the thing I'm actually.
You could just see the street and the sky and the actual thing that's going on.
It's just
a finger.
What I'm thinking of for this. No, never mind.
This is the high-tech future of 2020 we really wanted, isn't it?
This is why you get cyber implants, people.
Yeah, it is. Imagine if you had them in your eyes. I mean, it'd still make you check. I don't know what you'd be doing then. Put your own hand over your eye or something.
I blinked.
Oh, ridiculous. Cool. So, very quickly, the doves descend from the building. One is kind of carrying a guy who was kind of shot in the side of the chest, kind of by his shoulder. He seems like he'll live, but he's pretty badly wounded. He's kind of losing consciousness. And two of the doves kind of dash back towards the arena and back towards their vans with him. And the rest run as quick as they can towards these trucks. And presumably you're going to follow them. Maybe not Spiral, but presumably Tia and Junior will.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll wrap up the gig.
Yeah, that's fair. You
but then I am getting out of there ASAP.
That is perfectly reasonable. I think you realize that this is going on. Maybe it takes 30 seconds or so to kind of realize the gunfire stopped, and then you start to be like, okay, last song now to the rest of the band. But let's cut to Tia and Junior first then. So you folks are kind of dashing up. I'm going to say Junior gets there pretty quick because you're excited as hell to get these weapons. So you're one of the first people getting in the trucks. It's locked. Do you want to have a go opening it up with your techie stuff?
Yes, yeah. I think
is it an electronic lock or a physical lock?
You know what? Because it's Cyberpunk, there's a fair chance it's going to be physical. I'm going to roll the dice. It's a physical lock.
Cool. So I have a 4 in pick lock. So
that is physical in your case. So yeah. That's what you want.
6 plus 4 is 10, plus my tech, which is also 10, so 20 in total.
Oh, 20 was the required as well. That's a nice
There we
job.
go.
So it was a pretty tough lock, and you managed to. I think that as everyone else is coming up there, so this is a physical. It's in your hand.
Yeah,
hand.
I think like one of the fingers just sort of flicks out to be a lockpick and sort of zzz, goes in and does cyber stuff to
yeah,
unlock.
that's great. So I think maybe takes about 30 seconds to do that. So everyone else kind of gathered there behind you like this while you're there, you know. And as you open it up, you see a relative treasure trove of guns, all sorts of stuff. Assault rifles, heavy weaponry. There's like a flamethrower in there. There's a couple of RPGs and other like heavier anti-vehicular style weapons. All kind of standard stuff. Is not, this wasn't experimental weaponry or anything like that. But you weren't really expecting that, given it was just 2 trucks going to the dock. But it's good stuff. It'll sell for a fair bit of money, or go for good peacemaking purposes, of course. I think Abel's like, I'm not sure we'll get the other truckload in. Shall we dash now? Looking at everyone else.
I think Junior's probably preoccupied in sort of searching through the stuff rather than, any immediate getting out of there. He's busy.
That is all good. If Tia doesn't also volunteer something, because you're, kind of part of the doves and they would listen to you too, then I think another dove who you recognize as Coyote, she kind of voices up and says, yeah, let's go. We don't want to be around here longer than we need to. Look, the corporate cops will be here soon. They'll know about this. Just get what we can. Not worth the risk. And indeed, I mean, maybe Junior, you linger in there a bit longer than you need to, and you're almost dragged out by Abel.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that. Yeah,
with like a handful of rifles or something. And then, like, it's only a couple of minutes before Spiral, and I don't know how close Tia was this, but Tia's probably watching as well, see a load of doves running past the festival, each holding armfuls of guns and other weapons. How do you finish off
their getaway vehicles?
How do you finish off your gig, Spiral?
I'm gonna finish off the gig like, with like a flourish, right? I'm gonna play. Spiral's tunes are partly procedural anyway, because traditional composition is for boomers. They're gonna like leave with like a flourish, like a last, maybe even like as the doves are like running away with their like armfuls of guns, and like a flamethrower over each shoulder or whatever, is gonna literally like ramp up the light show and the music to the point where people are like struggling. And maybe even partially like blinded for a few seconds, and in that time, the band members will still be there because they're the humdrum normal people in the band. But Spiral, by the time they like look up, Spiral's gone. Spiral's off stage. Isn't like running after the doves or anything, but has vanished because like Spiral doesn't do normal things like leave a stage via the stairs. Spiral vanishes.
Cool. I think as you do, go on.
Sorry, no, go on.
No, you're good. I was kind of leading on to the end of the scene stuff here, so you go ahead.
I was going to say I want to be back at my camera in time for the finale disappearing act.
I love it.
So I can do like a oh my god, that was amazing. So subscribe, remember to follow Spiral on the VidNet and all of the other stuff, and I'll catch everyone next time.
Ring that bell,
etc. Ring that bell. Sign up to my fax list.
Perfect. I love it. Oh god. As this is kind of happening, there is a muttering in the crowd going around, probably from some of Spiral's roadies, maybe some of the doves too, because this is the sort of folks they are, and they love your music as well, Spiral, of Seven Troads. Seven Troads is a popular and quite famous club that is way south of here that a lot of people will gather at kind of later in the night, and sounds like doves want to celebrate there.
Spiral is happy to go to any after party to sit in the corner and glare at people, especially if they have the temerity to come up to him.
So Abel piles all the weapons and vehicles in a couple of vans. Junior drives one, Abel drives another. There's a couple of other doves driving them, and off you go to dump them. And perhaps after that, meet up at the Seven Troads. And we'll cut scene there. I think that'll be our break then. Perfect.
Yes, that's our first break time. So we'll be back, folks, in about 10 of your Earth minutes. So we'll see you soon.